Hi, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Tech Niger FM, the podcast where we explore how technology powers our life, drive innovation. On today's episode, we'll be talking about the database, how it changes our life, the invisible that is powering all the activities, even this particular broadcast that we are doing. There is the database invisible part of it, which is not actually visible. Uh, and Today, I have a special person that is joining us on this episode of Tech Niger FM. Uh, the person named Adefe Adekombi, a database architect who has been working with database for the past 9 to 10 years. And today he will be telling us about the topics, how database is changing life, what are the challenges that people face during working with database, how uh, database is actually changing the perspective of our application as a whole. Today, I'm going to be welcoming Dekumbi Adefe and open the floor for this particular episode discussion. Thank you.
Thank, thank you very much, and it's a pleasure being on Tech Niger FM. And like you've rightly introduced, my name is Adekumbi Adefe, currently a database architect. Thank you.
Yeah, so let's dive into the conversation for today. As you know, we'll be talking about database fully, and having you work in the database application or building complex databases for different application where you've worked in the past. We just like to know the first thing people are going into programming, solution development, and the likes. But you decided that you want to go into database. What can you just tell us about? What is what are the things that you even see in the database that you say you want to go into it?
Okay, thank you very much. That's a very tricky one. Okay, now I ended up as a database architect via like accidentally. I got into database accidentally, and it happened that in my first IT career job, I was exposed to doing more of database development work, whereby we do writing of queries, fine tuning of queries, and that was an area where I spent 2 to 3 years before I now realized that okay, why not venture into database administration fully as a career path. So it started more like database developer role where you write queries, you build stock procedures, you build functions, and you do some automations around database. Then after a while I discovered that okay, people are doing it. Actually a career path, because when I ventured into IT, it was more like everybody wants to be a front-end person, application support, application developer. So I never knew database was a big deal then. So it was when people started saying, oh, we have performance issue, then I started diving into it. Then that was when I realized that there's something called database administrator. And I decided to focus on it since I've played around it already for like 2 3 years then. So I didn't want to waste those career years, so I just ventured into it fully, and here we are today.
Okay, thank you so much for that. For people listening to us, I believe not everybody have understanding about database. I basically want you to give us what is database in a layman language, so that the people joining us can basically understand what we are actually talking about.
Yeah, like you rightly said, a database is the invisible behind every setup, and let me just give us a proper definition of a database. Then I'll try to break it down to a layman language. Database is an organized collection of data. It's an organized collection of data for easy retrieve, management, and storing of data. So basically, it's just like saying a filing system. When we're growing up, when we're a bit young, when you are in school, they will say, bring your report card, they will write your scores and give it to you. Now we are saying, let's automate this process, let's keep this record in a database. Now, so that was what triggered, brought into the existence of keeping data into a storage unit. So that's just database. So to break the language down, we have data and we have a base. And in technology, when they say something is a base, it means it's a storage. So now you are putting data in the storage in an organized manner for easy access and easy retrieval of information. So that's what database is in a layman language.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Like I said earlier on, there is no standard company in the world that is not basically using database, either feasible or infeasible, like I mentioned. And even while using your phone, there is an aspect of database. For example, you are storing your contacts. There is an invisible part of it that you didn't see that is actually helping you to store that particular phone contact that you can actually retrieve. All of us are using WhatsApp, we are using Facebook, we are using Twitter and the likes. There are some things that has been put in place to store those conversations that basically you can actually retrieve at a later date. But another question that I have for you, Mr. David, today is why databases matters. Why do we actually need database?
Okay, database matter because there is there is something we call repetitive incidences. Keep tracks, and imagine you trying to log into your Facebook, or you are trying to access to make use of Facebook, and every time you have to come to Facebook, you have to set up your account from afresh. You don't have a point of reference to your last activity and all. So now what database is doing is it helps us to collect data. Now this data can be used to process information. This data can be used to understand dynamics, people choices, people preference. Now, the era of just storing data on database has passed. Now, people are using database to build a model, to understand diversity, to understand choices. So now, the advent of storing data, let's give this, let me quickly introduce the fact that we are looking at AI now. These AI tools that we are using today are trained with millions of data. Now, some people collected this data in their database and made it available. And now, today, we can use this to train a model that can tell us, suggest what to do, how to do it in real time, in diverse field. So now, imagine there is no data, there will still be a lot of, imagine there's no database, there will still be a lot of manual processes that will be happening. But database has taken a lot of manual process away from us due to the availability of historical data to model the new phase of IT we are looking at and we are moving into.
Mm, mm. That's true. That's true. Because with the AI now, a lot of things has actually changed. And if you are looking at maybe a few years back, the era of just storing data alone without using it for anything has actually passed. You
Yes.
actually need to make use of your data to even do some analysis, predictions, and the likes, which I believe AI is actually helping us with that particular aspect. Thank you so much for that. The other thing that also want us to talk about today is about let's drive to migration a bit. I noticed that there was a bank in Nigeria back like a few years back that during migration they changed the applications and there was an issue. You cannot retrieve your transaction history. Your account balance is not jiving. A lot of things with database. What can you talk uh, that that particular bank faced during migration?
Okay, thank you very much. Now, when we look at migration as a whole, migration happens in phases. We have the first layer of migration mostly is data compatibility, data migrations into your new environment from your old software. And now, when we are looking at data structure, the data structure of old application and the new application might be different, and there are a lot of things behind the scene that happens when we talk about huge migrations like that. But one of the things I feel many organizations don't look into is um, parallel migrations, which is whereby you have your new software running alongside with your old software, whereby you can have one single point of truth. Because at this point, we migration is a very very wild topic, and we must try to break it down. If you are migrating, let me give you an instance. If you are migrating from, let's say, a Oracle based database, and you are migrating to a Postgres database, there are a lot of things involved. Functions will be
Yeah.
rewritten, stock procedures will be written, table structures will change, and a lot of things has to take in place. So the best approach, and I do say the best approach, is to have a parallel operation before doing a final cutover, so that it will have less customer impact. Because you cannot be too sure to say there will not be downtime, but you can minimize your downtime by having a clear picture of what your parallel operation will look like.
Okay, okay, that's actually true, uh, because I remember back then when I was working on a particular project, what we actually did was that we are still doing the migration, but we didn't shut down the current version that we're actually using. So even we push some users to be using the version 2, but the version 1 still continue running. I think that's a good idea of having a parallel migration so that your customer will not be complaining and your business continuity will also be growing. I think that's actually a good one. So let's bring it into like Africa, right? So when building, you've worked in different places, different organizations. I know you've worked in the insurance sector, you've worked in the finance
Banking
sector.
sector.
Yeah, you've worked in the financial sector. I remember. So, what do you think is a challenge when we are talking about data and database? What do you see as, especially let's pick insurance as a whole. What do you see as a challenge with data in regards to the insurance sector?
Now, thank you very much. One of the aspects, one of the challenge I faced in the insurance sector, because I spent quite a lot of years in the insurance sector. I think I spent close to 6 to 7 years in the insurance sector, so I have good understanding of what is expected. The major challenge is having a centralized database, which I will really say kudos to NICOM now. NICOM is now building a centralized database whereby, well, you can upload like NID portal. We have NID portal now. I remember before I left insurance sector, we they were looking at NIA portal as well, whereby all insurance are given an ICOM ID and they can be uploaded to a centralized portal. Now, this were not the case when we were in the insurance sector, which means various insurance had to manually exchange data via maybe writing an email of rebooking a customer, a business that need a reinsurance, then everybody has to rebook the business, in individual organizations, whereby this data can be shared electronically by portal APIs and all. So I think what we really need is doing more in centralization of data, whereby people, it will even limit insurance fraud, whereby you can pick chassis number of a vehicle and you can know this vehicle is insured in particular insurance without you double booking insurance on that particular vehicle. Like as we are currently, I know there's still a lot of work to be done, whereby you have vehicles that are having third party insurance on them and still have comprehensive insurance. I feel that is actually a bit wrong. But when we have a centralized point of verification of chassis number, whereby you can know that okay, this vehicle has been insured by so company, you don't have to do double insurance on it. Now, why do we face this kind of challenges? Is because we don't have a centralized data repository whereby every insurance can plug in, get data before they do their business.
Mm, that's true, actually. Uh, because if you don't have a central repository, there, there will be issue with data, and data is life. Without that kind of valid data, I believe there will be issue with a lot of even reconciliation and the likes will actually be an issue. So in fintech, what are the issues that you basically face when you work? I didn't remember the company again, but when you work with that particular company, what are the issues that you face? Because I know it's basically fintech, but I know there will be some data
Okay.
issue and the like that you're able to fix.
One of the one of the challenge we faced then was more of profiling of risk profiling of customers. We don't have enough data to profile customers. It's actually a microfinance bank, and we need to give out loan facilities to customers,
Okay.
and you need to build a model to be able to analyze your risk. And now when you don't have enough data, you don't have enough data points to analyze a particular customer, then you have to start doing manual analysis, whereby it comes to you asking, oh, is this person a pep, that's politically exposed person? Then if the person is politically exposed, we won't be able to give more than this particular loan. But it will have been better if, but I know now we have platforms whereby we platforms have been developed for risk analysis, whereby you can know if a client is owing loan in carbon, and or a client is owing loan with red money, or a client is owing loan in one commercial bank. You can easily log into a portal now and see the client's loan history. And we have now portals that give credit scores. Now these things were not available then, so it was a bit difficult to profile a client. That was one of the major challenge. Another challenge is cost, data maintenance cost, because then it was more of expensive and not proper of running database on premise, because that means you need to run diesel for 24 hours and all. Then if you are comparing it now with cloud solutions, whereby we are looking at AWS, Azure, buying for paying for subscription in dollars was also a challenge. So now
Yes.
what we did then was more or less like trying to break data into two sides. Data that needs to be online, we're fully online. Data that we can afford to shut them down for reporting analysis, then we need to keep those on premise, and when we close we shut them down. And it was a whole lot of stress. But assuming in Africa, we should push more for data centers that are quite affordable in our local currencies, whereby we won't have to be paying in foreign currency. I feel that was part of the challenge I faced when I was in the financial sector.
Mm, mm. It's actually one of the things I also experienced. I didn't remember the company again, but I know I have experienced that kind of things because uh, for startup it's actually heavy to actually be paying in dollars, or startup that are yet to get funding. And at that point, we had to be using uh, the company in Nigeria called May1. We had to be using their data center to just be storing some data. Also, something just dropped in my mind now when you talked about uh, the data center. So I believe that in Nigeria, as a case study, there are some companies that government parastatal, let me put it that way, that you cannot push their data outside of the country, right? The data
Yes.
needs to sit. Uh, but in that regards, what do you think that should, in case there is an issue with that particular data center and they don't have like a third party where they are storing data and something happened to that particular data center, maybe in Nigeria, what do you think they can do for business continuity?
Okay, that's a very tricky one. That's a very tricky question. But you know, as much as you keep data in data centers, now most data centers have business continuity plan. Now, let's say they have a major breakdown. That is why it is expected of a good organization to have their data also stored in a local drive, because if all things go bad, let's say everything goes bad. I remember when I was with an organization, Badger Paint, we were using a local data center then, and at the same time we do our daily backup of our databases, and we take them to Montgomery storage weekly. So you do your Monday to Friday physical backup and you take it to Montgomery. Now, why do we come up with that data business continuity plan? Was because in case the data centers that were even supporting everything goes bad, there was no data, we can easily spin off a in-house on-prem server and restore our database on it, and we point our ERP to the on-prem database, and the business continues. The data we are going to be losing will be less than 2 3 hours of data, which is understandable. So I believe still having physical storage of your data, doing your daily backup, your differential backup, and ensuring that you have a physical hard copy is still important.
Mm, okay, that's true. That's true. Keeping it safe, should in case of anything, I think is a good one. Yeah. So, looking ahead, right? What excites you most about the future of databases? Maybe AI, because you mentioned AI the other time. AI, cloud, or maybe real-time data. So, what excites you about the future of databases?
Currently, what's interesting about data is database currently is NoSQL databases, and they are interesting because they are helping us to navigate the new structure of database of data that we are getting now. We are having document database, we are having graph now, we are having MongoDB, VectorDB for AI, and a lot of new databases are springing up just to fine tune database to the structure of the data that is required for the new phase. And this shows that database is really growing beyond the normal relational database that we are used to, which is the table structure kind of thing. And now we have the likes of Microsoft introducing self-healing processes, whereby we have dynamic management views that can tell you indexes are needed on a particular table, that can analyze, guide you through on how to optimize database. These things were not there back in those days. Now that shows that database itself is evolving beyond data storage alone. It's evolving towards healing itself, taking care of itself in terms of optimizations. Suggestions are now coming in inbuilt that will tell you, oh, this table is in distress. Could you think of indexes? Could you think of partitionings? And this shows that um, database is growing, and that is why I keep telling people being a database administrator is not enough. Evolving into a database architect is more than enough, whereby you need to understand how to network between various data platforms, and how to understand database that suits a particular set of data, because not all database now suits particular set of data. And this is the new face of database, and it's interesting to read along, seeing new innovations, and we can see that we are also on top of the minds of many organizations now, unlike before.
Okay. Thank you for that. For young engineers that want to go into database, uh, because based on your conversation, I know our listeners will have picked one or two things. For engineers that want to go into database, what are the advice that you can, maybe one or two advice that you can actually give to those kind of people?
Make sure one of the most important advice is don't test query on live productions.
Mm.
It's risky. That's number one. It's actually risky. You make sure you have your own test environment. You do your things on test environment, and you make sure that you are sure of the result before taking it to production environment. Production, many of us really wants to prove we are good, we know what to do, but you cannot be too sure of. Okay, sorry, can you hear me?
I think he's having network issues. Let's just wait a bit for him to come back. Uh, I so much appreciate this particular episode because the advice alone, do not test run your query on production is actually one of the biggest takeaway because when you run a delete query on production, that's the end. And I so much believe that when you test all your queries on Sandbox, the test server, you will have understand the actual result that you are going to get on production, which is one of the things that I believe is a good thing to take away. We wait a bit for him. Should in case you have any question, please you can drop it. You can drop it on the chat. I will take it so that we can answer any question whatsoever that you might have. I believe you've enjoyed this particular session. Uh, Please, you can follow us, subscribe. Every week, we'll be having this kind of episode to enlighten us about tech, innovation, founders. We're bringing founders, uh, and it's basically for us to learn one or two things and to also engage in conversation for us to know about what is actually going on in the space of tech as a whole. While we wait for him, I'm going to look into the chat section to see if we have uh, any chat or any question. Yeah, it's back. Uh,
Hello, can you hear me?
yes, welcome back. Yes, welcome back. I can hear you now.
Okay, so where are we?
Yeah, so you are talking, if I remember, you are talking about the advice to the young engineers that want to go into database, and you basically talked about that young engineers should not test scripts on production, especially the delete script, truncate. They should never try it on production because that is a disaster.
Yeah, they are actually disasters because it's risky. You can never be too sure of when the accident will happen, and doing that on production is high risk. And I will tell you, no more of internals, no more of internal structure of the database you are supporting. Database internals differs to database, and this gives you an edge to become an expert very quickly. Database is beyond backup, beyond writing query. It's actually understanding how the internals works, the CPU, the RAM, the bloat, how these things work, and this helps you to be ahead. Then it helps you to be able to think in line with what your database is passing through, because the only way your database can tells you I'm in distress is when you can actually understand how database works. And I think that is another important aspect which I feel young upcoming database administrators should also look out for. Then the last aspect of the advice is, please try to know a lot of automations processes, understand, at least learn an automation tool, because now the era of you manually logging into database servers individually, organizations have more than one database server now, and people are already using automation tools. So automation tools like Terraform, like Ansible, these are tools that are being used now in deployment of patches and updates, and a lot of maintenance work are done on these tools. So learning these tools will actually give you an edge, and it's going to show that you are really ready for business. Last but not the least is just to say, never give up, believe you can do it, and know that every thousand steps starts with just one big move. Wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. This has been a valuable and wonderful session today. Thank you, Adefe, for sharing your insight with us today. Uh, Before we round it up, where can people follow your work? Where can they connect with you online?
Currently, my LinkedIn handle is Adekumbi Adeife, and I'm also available on WhatsApp, and I'm also available on Twitter at Adekumbi Adeife, same at Adekumbi Adeife, and you can easily just reach out to me. I'm accessible. Just drop a message. We can actually be of good help to each other. Let's keep the community growing. No one is an island of it all. We just want to make sure that we put Africa on the map.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much. Brilliant. Thank you so much. And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us on Tech FM today. Uh, like I mentioned when we started, database may be invisible, but it powers a lot of things from shopping online, from your Jumia to your Konga, from your uh, WhatsApp to this application that we're using to even stream. Everything is data, and data has been stored on database, and basically they are invisible. You can't see them unless you are a database person that can actually interact with it. We'll be streaming more episodes on LinkedIn, YouTube, and this particular audio version will be available on Spotify before the end of today. Thank you so much for joining us. Please help us to subscribe and follow us on YouTube. Based on that, till next time that we will be having another session next week. Keep innovating, keep building. Soon, we will also love to know about your story. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Bye.